What's going on, guys? It's Cuda here, or Kian, and welcome back to the channel. We got another story time for you guys today. It's one that I think you guys will really enjoy. It's about the time that I slept through a fire drill my first year in college. I nearly got caught by the university police, but it all worked out in the end for me. I didn't get caught, but I think you guys will still enjoy the story anyway. So let's get right into it. So it all started off as a normal day back in 2021. It was the fall semester of my first year in college, so as a freshman, I was still learning the ropes of school. I was trying to get used to living away from home, meeting new people, finding new friend groups, getting adjusted to the whole college living thing. And I would say at this point, it was a couple weeks into school. I was starting to get the hang of things. I was starting to understand what being a college student was really like. I had made some friends in my dorm and in my classes, and I was starting to form a little friend group with people I considered to be cool, people that I liked hanging out with, people who had similar interests and hobbies as me. But this story time doesn't actually have anything to do with any of those friends. This one is just about me and a very stupid decision that I made on one night during my freshman year. So like I said, it all started off as a normal day. It was 2021. It was a couple weeks into school. I got up for the morning. It was a Friday. And on Fridays during this time, I had 3 classes that I needed to go to. They were all back to back to back. So I went to the first class, got that over with. 15 minutes later, I walked to my second class, which was just around the corner. And then after that, another 15 minutes went by and I went to my third class and finally got class over with and done for the day. So now that class was over with, I could actually bullshit around. It was officially the weekend. I didn't have any homework, so I was pumped about that. And at this point in my life, I was a bit of a pothead, I'm not gonna lie. Now you probably think you know where this story's going, but trust me, you don't. That is just one piece of the puzzle. The other piece of the puzzle was my roommate. So my roommate at the time, let's just give him a name. Let's call him Josh. Now Josh was a really cool dude, but the thing about Josh was he was never there on the weekends. He had a long distance girlfriend back home. They had been together for like 5 years at this point. So he always used to go home on the weekends to go see her and to go, be a boyfriend. So usually during the weekends, I would have the dorm completely to myself. And now this wasn't such a bad thing, but it also wasn't such a good thing either. Because when I got back from class, I noticed that Josh had already left for the weekend. He went home to go see his girlfriend. And this was great news for me, because when Josh left for the weekend, I didn't necessarily have to be courteous to my roommate. You see, the other thing about Josh was he used to go to bed super early. He would be in bed by 9 o'clock and asleep by 10 o'clock, even on the weekends, every single night. And now I'm not saying this is a bad thing. If anything, this is a really good thing. But you see, the thing about me is I'm the complete opposite. I like to stay up late. I'm a night owl through and through. If I'm going to bed before midnight, it's because something is seriously wrong with me. And I'm not even joking. But anyways, long story short, Josh went home for the weekend, so I had the room to myself. So I quickly pulled out my phone, I called up a few of my boys from back home, I asked them if they wanted to get on the game and play some Call of Duty, because I remember at this time, Call of Duty Vanguard had just came out, and we were all super excited to go play that. So I managed to get 2 of my friends on right away. Another one said that he was busy, but he would be on in an hour, and he actually stuck to his word. An hour later, he got on. So the 4 of us were running a bunch of Vanguard, we were leveling up super quick, we were having a great time. I feel like I was on for maybe 3 or 4 hours at this point. And then all of a sudden my phone starts ringing and I look down and I pick it up and it's my boy Steve calling. Now if you guys know anything about my boy Steve, it's that whenever he's calling, something's always going down. By the way, if you haven't seen the video, The Worst Night of My Life, Steve is the main character in that video. If you guys want some context to why I'm talking about this, please go watch that video. It's a banger. It'll be the first link in the description. Anyways, shameless plug aside, I'm sorry. Let's get back to today's story. So anyways, I pick up the phone, I answer it. I'm like, yo, what's good, Steve? He's like, what's good? What's new? How are you? I answer him. I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. How about you, man? And he's like, I am also doing well. I wanted to call you and ask you if you wanted to come out with us tonight. And now the thing about Steve, if you don't know, is he is the life of the party. He's always going out. He's always getting drunk. He's always, looking for a good time. So I knew if I agreed to this, I would be down for a long night. And now, honestly, I wasn't really trying to go out on this night. I was having a good time on the game with my boys from back home, but I thought to myself, you only live once. Why not go out? You're in college. Have a good time. Come back. You can play with your boys tomorrow. So that's what I did. I agreed to go out with Steve and some of my other friends. I told my boys that I'd be getting off for the night and that I was going out, and they were chill with it. And everything was falling into place for me to have a good night. Now, Steve lived at this time like right down the hall from me, maybe 5 doors down. So he came knocking at my door with a few of our boys. He came in. We got the pregame going. A couple of us were drinking. A couple of us were smoking. We were having a good time. And so the time finally came for the pregame to end and the game to start. So we went out to the bar, we got a ride from one of our friends, We got to the bar, and honestly, the night at the bar was pretty good. Nothing out of the ordinary really happened. I had a few drinks, I stepped outside for a smoke or two, and honestly, at this point in the night, things were going really well. And so a few hours later, we finally decided that it was time to leave and go home. We were all pretty drunk. So me and Steve called the Uber back to our dorm, our boys called their Uber back to their dorm, and we all went our separate ways. So after about a 10-minute Uber ride, me and Steve get out of the Uber, we go back into our dorm, we chill for a little bit, and about 20 minutes later, Steve said that he's going to go to bed, he's going to go back to his own room, he's going to go to sleep, and so that meant that I was left in my dorm room, once again, all alone. And so at this point, it's about 2:30, almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking to myself at this point that it's probably close to bedtime for me, it's pretty late, I don't want to be up too much later than this, so it's probably time to start settling down and getting ready for bed. So I grab my change of clothes, I grab my toothbrush, I grab my toothpaste, I walk down the hall to the bathroom because I did not have my own bathroom in the dorm. I open the door to the bathroom, and of course, nobody was in there because it was almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I walked in there, I started washing my face, I brushed my teeth, I got changed, I got all ready for bed, and then I went back down the hall to my dorm room. So when I got back to my dorm room, I put all my stuff away, I went to go get in bed and turn off the light, and then all of a sudden I noticed on my desk that I had left my weed out. And now this wasn't that big of a deal, but I usually like to hide it just in case. So I got up out of bed, I opened my closet and grabbed the book bag that I kept everything in, I opened it up, I grabbed the blanket, I rolled up my glass, I wrapped my weed back up, and I put it all tucked away in my closet at the bottom of my backpack. And as I'm walking back across the room, about to get in bed, about to turn the light off and go to La La Land, go to Dreamland, of course, the fire alarm starts going off. So at this point in my head, I have two choices. I can either put some pants on, put a coat on, go outside in the freezing cold weather of upstate New York, or I can stay in my room and wait it out, but risk getting caught. And now you see, the thing about my school was that during fire drills, they had people come into the building and knock on doors, and sometimes they would even open dorms and go into them to see if anyone was in the room. And now I shouldn't need to tell you that you should probably go outside during these, but in my head, I was not with the shits that night. I chose option 2. I stayed in my dorm room and decided to wait it out. And so I knew I couldn't just stay in bed if I was going to stay in my room. I actually had to hide somewhere because if they did come into my room and I was caught, I'd be fucked. Staying inside during a fire drill is like committing murder to my school. You would get in so much trouble for doing that. So I pulled the dresser that was under my bed out from under the bed. I crawled in behind the bed. So I was between the dresser and under the bed, and I pulled the dresser back towards me. So I had this little cubby where I was tucked behind the bed and behind the dresser so that if anyone did come in, they wouldn't see me, at least directly. And I should probably mention that I'd done this before. I'd done this a few times actually, and no one's ever really knocked on my room or came into my room and checked if anyone was there. So I thought that I was in the clear. But about 5 minutes after the fire alarm goes off, I'm sitting there under my bed. I all of a sudden hear my door open, and 2 men walked in with flashlights into my dorm room. And now immediately I knew who exactly it was. It was the university police officers coming to check rooms and see if anyone was in there and bring them out if they were. And so I'm sitting there absolutely horrified that they were going to catch me. And usually they'd just open the door, take a peek in, see if anyone was there, and then close the door and move on with their day. But of course, the one time they actually decide to walk through the room is the one time I'm sitting in there, totally not prepared for them to do that. So they're walking around my room, opening the closet, making sure nobody's in there. And then one of the guys gets to my bed, and he leans down and shines the flashlight between the little crack between the dresser and the bottom of the bed to see if anyone was behind the bed. And of course, that's where your boy was sitting. So I quickly tucked my head right behind the dresser and just hid from him. And I don't know how, thank God, but he didn't see me. He turns to his partner and is like, all right, all clear. And they leave my room. But right as they're about to walk out the door, one of them stops and is sniffing the air. And it's at this point that my heart just absolutely plummeted into my stomach because I knew what he was smelling. My closet was right by the front door, so if he was smelling anything, it was more than likely my weed. So then I hear him say to his partner, he's like, you smell that? And his partner was like, no, I don't. What do you smell? He's like, I think I smell some marijuana. And so they came back into the room and started searching my room. They were going through my clothes and my dressers and stuff. Mind you, I'm still behind the dressers so I can see what they're doing. And they're also trashing the place while they're doing it. They're taking my clothes out of the dresser and just throwing them on the floor. And then after another about 5 minutes of them searching and just absolutely throwing everything everywhere, they finally get to my closet. and they pull out the backpack that has my weed in it. And I'm thinking to myself at this point, this is where it all goes wrong. This is where they find everything. This is where I get fucked over and I get kicked out of school and my parents are gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna waste a bunch of money. I'm just contemplating my life at this point. And I don't know how to this day they didn't find anything, but they searched through this backpack and they didn't open the blanket to find where my weed was wrapped in my glass. So they put the backpack back on my chair by my desk, not even back in the closet, and they just walked out of the room. So at this point, I'm shook. I'm totally freaked out, thinking they found something, they were going to give it to my hall director, and I was going to get in a boatload of trouble. And I'm also scared of getting out of my hiding spot at this point, because I don't know if they're coming back. But after about 10 minutes of them not coming back and me just sitting under there absolutely tweaking, I finally muster up the courage to get out of my hiding spot, fix up my room, and see if they took anything, and if they took something, what did they take? So I pushed the dresser out from under my bed, I crawled out from under my bed, I pushed the dresser back in, I stand up, I walked over to my desk, I picked up my backpack, the blanket was still there, and I opened up the blanket, and everything that I totally thought was going to be missing was still there. So it's at this point that I take everything weed related that I have and I put it in the backpack, and everything that wasn't weed related that I needed to hide out of the backpack. And then I walked out of my dorm into the freezing cold weather, walked across the street to my car, and put the backpack in my car, just in case, to be safe. And so at this point it's about 3:30 in the morning, maybe 3:45, and I am whooped. I am so tired. So I finally crawled into bed and I went to bed. And in the morning, I woke up to a knock on my door. And so I wake up, I'm still half asleep, but I'm like, oh shit, this cannot be good. And so I get up, I walk over the door, I open the door, and standing there is a university police officer, my hall director, and my RA. Now, if you've never been to college and you don't know what an RA is, it's basically another student, usually an upperclassman, living on campus in the same dorm as you, and they're basically in charge of like the hallway and making sure that nobody's doing any stupid shit in their rooms in the hall that they're assigned. So I open the door and I'm like, hey guys, how can I help you today? Totally trying to play it off as if I just woke up, I had nothing to do with anything, I knew nothing, but they were not dealing with that. The university police officer speaks up and he's like, are you Kian? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, were you here during the fire drill last night? And I was like, no. Totally lying through my teeth at this point. And he's like, well, we came in here last night during the fire drill to check if anyone was in here, and we noticed the smell of marijuana in the room. And I was like, oh, did you? Well, I don't actually smoke, so it couldn't have been me. And he was like, oh, really? And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a lighter. Now, this lighter wasn't just any lighter. This was my lighter. This was the lighter that I used every single day to smoke my weed. And he's like, are you missing something? Does this look familiar to you? And I looked at it and I was like, nope, I've never seen that in my life before. And he was like, really? Because I found it in your closet, in your backpack last night when I was searching in here. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I put it there and I just didn't know. And he was not dealing with the bullshit. He's like, enough with the bullshit. I'm coming in to search the room. If I find anything, you're going to be screwed. So you better just tell me the truth right now. And so I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, well, I already put everything in my car, so it's not like he's going to find anything in here. So I was like, all right, why don't you come in and search? Why don't you prove the point that you're so desperately trying to make? And we'll see if you actually find anything, because I know you won't. And he was like, okay. And he walked right over to my closet, opened up the closet, and he's like, where's the backpack? And I was like, what backpack? And he's like, there was a black backpack in here last night. It smelled like marijuana. It was just here. I was searching. I remember it. Where is the backpack? And I was like, I never had a backpack in there, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. Knowing that that same backpack was in my car with all the stuff that he was trying to find. So then he turns to me and he asks me, after thinking for a second, he's like, do you have a car here? Do you drive on campus? And I lied. I was like, no, I don't, sir. He was like, okay, well, I think that's where we're going to stop here. You obviously put the backpack with all the stuff in it somewhere else that we're not going to find it. So I'm just going to let you know right now that if we catch you doing anything like this again on campus, you're going to be kicked out of school. So you better watch what you're doing. And then he just stormed out of my room, all mad that he didn't find anything. And then my hall director spoke up and she was like, I'm so sorry, Kian. He was so certain when he came in this morning that you had stuff in your room in this backpack and that he was going to find it and get you all in trouble. And obviously no such backpack exists, so I'm sorry for the inconvenience. If there's anything I can do for you in the future, please let me know. Otherwise, have a good day. And my RA and my hall director walked out of my room and I got off scot-free. Nothing happened to me after that. No phone calls from university police, no run-ins with my hall director, no run-ins with that same officer that, was so adamant about finding something. Nothing. So yeah, guys, I got away. Nothing happened to me. They didn't find anything in my room, they never searched my car, and they didn't know that I was in the room watching them search it while a fire drill was going on, so it was pretty crazy. But anyways, guys, moral of the story is, don't hide in your dorm room during fire drills when you should obviously be going outside, and don't keep weed in a book bag in your closet that stinks up the room on campus when you know that university police could possibly be coming into your room at any point. So yeah, guys, that's the story. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, and if you guys want to see more content and stay up to date with my channel, hit that subscribe button. But in any event, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed. It's been real. I've been Cuda, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.